Good afternoon, beautiful people. I am Kati Pipihana and I am Group 1 reporter. So our topic is all about background to the study of literature. The content of these lessons are meaning of literature, examples and forums, how the first books came to be, and the functions, goals, qualities, and features of literature. What do you mean by literature? It refers to any written work. Example of written work is No Limitangere by Jose Rizal. Literature, it is derived from literature, which means writing forms with letters. Literature, it is the mirror of the society which reflects societal norms, traditions, experiences, etc. Literature goes along with society. Some definition includes spoken or sung text. Example of spoken text includes oral stories, interviews, and dialogues. Examples of literature. First one is fiction and non-fiction. Fiction means describe imaginary events and people. For example, the book of Florante and Laura. So non-fiction meaning based on facts, real events and real people such as biography or history. Common literary examples of non-fiction includes essays on art of literature, biographies, and journalism. Second, manuscript, meaning a book, document, or piece of music written by hand rather than type or printed. The author's copy of the book that the author has just turned in to the publisher is an example of manuscript. The third one is poetry. Literary work in which a special intensity is given to the expression of feelings or read ideas by use of distinctive style and rhythm. Poems collectively or as a genre of literature. Lyric poetry example. First one is elegy, a reflective poem to honor the dead. The fourth one is contribution to collective works. An article, column, or short story has been published in a magazine, newspaper, and other periodical, registered separately. Examples, newspaper, magazines, and encyclopedia. The last one is thesis, a statement or theory that is put forward as a premise to be maintained or proved. Example, in a story entitled A Worn Path, Endora Wetty creates fictional characters in Phoenix Jackson whose determination, faith, and cunning illustrate the indomitable human spirit.
Good morning, everyone. In this part of the video, we will be talking about the three major forms of literature, and these are poetry, drama, and prose. These three major forms contributes to the true essence and function of literature. So the first one is poetry. So poetry means it is a literary work in which special intensity is given to the expression of feelings and ideas by the use of distinctive style and rhythm. Poems collectively or as a genre of literature. Now, one example of a famous poet that embraced the Tagalog language was Francisco Balagtas. One of his famous poems written was Florante at Laura. So the next major form is drama. So drama is a play for theater, radio, or television. In the Philippines, drama plays an important role in people's lives, since we can see any forms of drama in the television or listen it to any radio station. And we must admit that drama entertained us very well. Furthermore, it seeks to entertain people and as well as impart knowledge through telling a story in a creative way. Next major form is prose. It is a written or spoken language in its ordinary form without metrical structure. As we all know, books have been part of our daily lives and we must admit that fact. Books allows reader to travel without using their feet, and we will use our imagination to do that and understanding every text that we have read. Books give wings to our imagination, and books are full of knowledge as we use it every day. And as a student, books are very much crucial in our lives. It is because through books we can find information and find answers to every questions that comes out in our minds. Alongside storytelling, there are many examples of older civilizations recording their lives through cave drawings or stone carvings. But the earliest examples of writing back then, spoken words are performed through storytelling, and we must admit that and up until now we also portray and we also do storytelling. And about cave drawings, they do not write it in the paper but instead they write it on stone slabs. Next one is the beginning of picture books. The first actual book written on paper is said to have been made in China. Mulberries, hemp, bark, and even fish to form a big pulp that could be pressed and dried to form paper. So these are the things that are used in order to make a paper so that the writing material will be changed from hard cravings into soft writings. So the next topic will be all about the first book ever written that we know of. And this is the Epic of Gilgamesh. It is a mythical retelling of an important political figure from history. So an Epic of Gilgamesh is all about a story regarding political figure back then. So Epic of Gilgamesh remains a question to everyone. Dance in wet clay with bits of reed. So this is the picture of the Epic of Gilgamesh. As you have seen, it is carved into a rock. And if you can look into it closely, you will notice that the penmanship or how you read the words or alphabet that is written is very hard to understand, and you would mostly think that the alphabet that has been used back then is much different from the alphabet that we're using now. I therefore conclude that the literature back then was a shadow of our literature today. It is because the literature back then gives us an idea of what literary forms or how should we create such literary works. And the effect is visible now because as time passes by, the literature has been changing and improving the lives of every individual as it gives a great impact to every people in this planet. The next report will be all about the features of literature, and it will be reported by Geneva Pales.
Good morning everyone, I am Geneva Pales. So this is the continuation of Gilruth's report. So my assigned topic is all about the features of literature and the qualities of literature. So there are 7 features of literature. First is allusion. Allusion is a reference to a well-known person, place, event, literary work, or a work of art. Example, Black Monday. Ang event is stock market collapse. So second is the analogy. An analogy compares two different things to point
out how they are similar character. Like for example, pets are like plants. If you give them lot of care and attention, they grow strong and healthy. But if you neglect them, they become weak and sickly. The third one is the character. A dynamic character is a character that is changed by events or interaction with others. A static character is a character that stays essentially the same. And the fourth is the climax. The climax in a story is the high point of interest or suspense in a literary work. In same words of literature, the climax is the turning point. Example of the climax, the Romeo and Juliet. The climax is often recognized as being the moment when the Romeo kills Tybalt. And the fifth is the conflict. Conflict is a struggle between opposing forces. Sometimes the struggle is internal or inside a character, as when as the characters strive to meet a self-imposed challenge, which is man versus himself. And the sixth is the dialogue. A dialogue is a conversation between characters. Writers use dialogue to reveal characters, to present events, and to add variety to a narrative and to interest the readers. And the last one is the flashback. Interruption of present action to insert an episode that took place at an earlier time for the purpose of giving the reader information to make the present situation understandable or account for a character's current motivation. So those are the features of literature. Now, let us proceed the qualities of literature. Literature should have them. Like for example, good versus evil. Next bullet, it should explain the relevance of them. So when you say relevance, it's being closely connected or appropriate. Third is literature should have a compelling idea. And the fourth bullet is state that literature should have a good style and grammar. Of course, a literature have a good style and correct grammar. And the last one is literature should sound genuine. When you say genuine, is something quality or origin. So that's all of my assigned topic. The next reporter will be Hazelkia.
The next is we have the function of literature. One of the chief purposes of literature is a means of exploring what it is to be human. It's also a way of communicating with others about a huge range of ideas and concerns. To simplify, literature helps us to understand people, societies, events, and culture. Literature opens doors to unique worlds. Through it, we discover and lends to us an understanding of the society, culture, history, ourselves, and other people, giving us glimpses of much earlier ages. These glimpses take our imagination back to the roots of our culture, allowing us to step back in time and learn about life on Earth from the ones who walked before us. We learn through the way history is recorded in the form of manuscripts and through speech itself. Through this, we can gather better understanding of culture and have a greater appreciation of them. And then we have the goals of literature. The first is, it must develop a realization that literature fosters humanistic awareness and attitude. The second, it must develop an awareness and critical understanding of elements and good literature. The third, develop a belief in students' own creative skills. And the last is communicate an appreciation of literature to others. Literature has the ability to influence our actions and beliefs, connect us to time and place, inspire critical thinking, have a lasting beauty and enduring value which can teach people about the human condition and how to improve their own. It is because literature is viewed to discuss man and its nature, it must recognize clearly understanding about its beliefs, feelings, and tendency towards certain actions. Literature may entertain and educate us, but it teaches us about the past, help us understand the present, and empower us to create the future.